it's one of the decisions that can be sort of most fundamental to what kind of game are we making anyway.
There is a certain corvo-ness to anybody to playing through Dishonored, right? It's not a totally blank slate. You understand who you are and what your position is in the world, right? What the situation is you've been handed. The menu of options that we give you shapes your experience.
Right. I think
within that we draw a little circle around which we do not dictate to the player.
Right. I think that's. I mean, that gets into. I mean, we could get arbitrarily academic about this, but there's all sorts of sort of body of theory about, when a player signs up to play a game, right? They're making a kind of sporting agreement about what is the game that they're playing anyway, right?
Right.
And in the case of a game with a very strong theme like Dishonored, that informs it sort of it creates the boundaries within which the characters that you might be playing exist, right? Even when there's as much variability as you get from the high chaos to the low chaos approaches in Dishonored are in some ways quite different, right? You can be anything from a brutal assassin to practically in fact a pacifist.
And if I could say, I think Will very much fits the brutal assassin from that last sequence.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask who was playing. Somebody's actually quite good at Dishonored.
Will has
my
surprising talent with these games, but only if he acts very brutally.
I don't know about you guys, but as a player, I'm not talking about as a designer, but as a player, I love to do things that don't feel like the designer wanted me to do, right? Like I make my own choice, I find my own strategy, and the world exists without me. Really, it's more I'm observing, and I'm gonna screw up with the world basically.
Right. Well, it's interesting to test the parameters of what the game allows you to do, you know, and that is one of the things that definitely makes it feel as if you're not just on a theme park ride where everything was crafted specifically for you, even though ultimately that's kind of the case, right? Mm-hmm. But it makes the world and your habitation within it seem much more real when there are these boundaries that can be played with.
Right. I mean, Dishonored, like many games, will kind of fight you on that, right? And try to and they'll like push you back to wherever they want you to be in a way that feels fundamentally, I think, wrong for the medium. And Dishonored seems to be done in a much better style, right? It wants to enable you. It wants you to play. It's a powerful tool. But as we noted earlier, kind of scary to put that much power in the player's hands.
Yeah, and again, because of the way we just we just reward the players on objectives. We don't really care how he does it and how he reaches it. So in the case, there's this mission where you can it's in one of the DLCs actually. You can just you have to go all the way up and kill this lawyer guy, but in a house, in a big house. But somehow some people manage to throw a grenade in the air, freeze time, and then use the wind blast to propel the grenade super far directly into an open window that leads to the lawyer, and then they can finish the mission like this in 5 seconds.
Not a bug.
It's great.
That is that is 5 incredibly high quality seconds, though.
Right, absolutely. Because who would do that? And honestly, it's mostly for second-time players because it's very rare that you're gonna have somebody that already knows the mission in advance so well that he has the idea to throw a grenade over there. But we didn't even think about it, and it works, and that's I think that's on the other side, as a designer, it's one of my most gratifying thing when I see those super cool players that play 10 times better than we do. Like they are literally virtuosos of the system, and it's super impressive.
Is there any challenge in making a game like Dishonored in terms of a sense from the market wanting games that are more linear and more sort of clearly setting the goals for the players. I mean, certainly
Yeah.
if you play a game like BioShock Infinite, which is a pretty amazing game, but it doesn't have anywhere near this level of giving the player choice, and it pulls you back pretty strongly to stay on the narrative path.
I think the industry underestimates players all the time, and we gamers are very smart. They want more and more depth, and I think what they don't want is complexity, but depth is really cool. And as long as you bring the depth on a platter in a very easy way, in a very simple way to make your choices, then people are gonna like it. That's if you look at again, Fallout is because I'm playing Fallout like a madman right now. Fallout is a good example of that, where there are several levels of readability, and it's the same with Dishonored. To be honest, it's if you really don't want to think and you don't want to play your own way, but you just want to follow the directions, you actually can. There's this arrow that you can follow, and it's the same with Fallout. But for the players that actually appreciate depth and choices, etc., etc., it's optional in a way, because they don't have to read the books, they don't have to listen to overheard conversations, they don't have to find some weird tactics to go around the dangers, but they can do it. And so I think that's the way to that's one of the way to bring deep games to the market. As you said, in the past anyway, a lot of publishers or people that sell games in general were very, very worried or afraid of making things that were too complicated when they were not.
Another interesting thing about just looking at trends recently, with with Twitch becoming so much bigger, for example, and console publishers starting to invest in the idea of playthrough streaming and such. When you look at those more highly curated games, aside from whatever personality that the host is going to bring to the Twitch experience, there's not that much to divide a Twitch of one of those games from a Let's Play, or like the experience that you're going to see of a playthrough of the game is going to be largely the same, right, from one playthrough to another. In one of the games that's like really highly curated, that doesn't have as much play in the system. Whereas Dishonored is great to Twitch, because everybody's experience is going to be very individual.
Right. Yeah, it's like the main storyline, of course, is the same for everyone. Everyone will have the same twists, etc. But the way it happens and the moment, in fact, the moment is belongs to every player, and I think that's what matters.
Austin, any particular memorable characters that you wrote for on Dishonored?
Oh well, I mean, I'll always be a fan of Granny Rags. I mean, there's she's there's no holding her back.
She might be my favorite.
I'm a particular fan of Pendleton, I have to say. All the Pendletons really. He always feels like he could have been a kind of Jeeves and Wooster comic character, except he just wandered into the wrong universe, and I kind of like them about him.
When you're writing for someone like a Susan Sarandon, do the actors give you feedback on saying, well, I wouldn't say it quite this way, let me suggest something a little different?
I think that probably happens on set during the recording, which I wasn't at. I think they did a lot of real-time recalibrating at the recording session, but I couldn't speak to that because I was not there. I'm certainly happy I didn't know I was writing for Susan Sarandon, or I would have been incredibly self-conscious.
So, Raph, I'm not sure what you can say about Dishonored 2, but if there's anything you can say in terms of areas that you learned from Dishonored where you're trying to go further or do something different, it'd be great to hear.
Well, as much as I would like to talk about it, I can't say much. I can't say anything more than what has been already seen uh, in the trailer. Which
Yeah,
somehow is Dishonored.
we've all been in that position with one project or another. We can vamp Underworld though. We have no corporate masters.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, yeah, it's very everything that we've been saying about Dishonored and comparing to the sort of the Looking Glass style, so called. It's very very much in the Will's about to he's I think he's gonna recover anyway. Very much the philosophy that we're bringing to Underworld Ascendant, which as far as I'm concerned, like I just can't get enough of this kind of game myself. So I'm happy to be making one of them again.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Underworld is, there's probably 5 games that I would put on the same level of how much they were inspirational to me and influential, and since I was a kid to even now. And I'm really really looking forward to Underworld and seeing what you guys do with it. It's we. In a way, I don't know if you played Ars Fatalis, but it was our homage to Underworld. This was the very first game of Arcane.
I'm curious about the art style. It's got Dishonored has a pretty superb art style, and just curious how that was arrived at.
Yeah, that took time. It's one of those things where if you look at it at the end and you think, oh wow, the guys wake up one morning and they come up with this, but actually not at all. It was very iterative. Of course, it takes working with super talented people. So in this case, we had our art director Sébastien Mitton, who was really at this point really mature in his career. He had worked already on some other games of Arcane. And he's a very very good art director, and he actually worked hand in hand for a while with Victor Antonov, who was the visual director of Half-Life 2. And so together, there are two things. There's the design part, and then there is the style. The design part, Victor Antonov was very involved. The style is a different thing. It's more about making the characters a little more stylized and with those strong features. And also there is some sort of painterly effect on the textures, which also took a while to come up with. But it's just iterative, and at some point it was super ugly, and now it's really pretty. So I think it's just every game's go through those phases where they look for how they're gonna look. And so we're pretty happy with the result.
But the game is so bright, and it seems like right now has that kind of golden effect. It's almost peaceful. It's kind of beautiful.
Nice to meet you.
It was unexpected for me playing the final project to have it be in a world that was so pretty and in places so bright.
Good.
When the feeling of it was so grungy and morally dark.
Yeah, it's true. It does contrast between you would expect that the game would be super dark. That's one thing, talking about the market, etc. That's one thing that players don't like, is games that are too dark. We've been suffering this game is too dark comments from everybody in every of our other games. So this time we're very cautious about this, and it used to be darker than this, by the way, Dishonored. When we started, you probably remember, Austin. And then later on, towards the end, towards alpha, beta, we had the same feedback from some players saying the game is too dark, I can't see, or whatever. So we ended up finding a lighting style